Hi, everyone. So I hope everyone's having a great day. My name is Swinda Osenkop, and I am a junior in chemical engineering with a minor in computer science. And my colleague here is Tyler.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tyler Pugh, and I'm a rising senior from South Riding, Virginia, double majoring in industrial and systems engineering and Spanish. I'm also in the Honors College, so if you have any questions about any of those things or what Sue is interested in as well, feel free to ask those questions in the Q&A bar. And like I said before, we will get to all of your questions at the end of the presentation. But other than that, let's get started.
What does it take to be an engineer? So first you have to have some creativity. Engineers, I always like to think of engineers, some people think inside the box, and engineers like to go outside the box and even more outside the box throughout the world. So engineers look at problems from all different sides and all different angles. And to be a creative person doesn't just mean to draw or to be artistically talented, because I certainly am not. Um, but like, to be creative is to be looking at situations from different angles. So teamwork, you need to have great teamwork skills and abilities, because being an engineer means to be working into teams. It's not just me, myself, and I. It's okay. I'm gonna work with someone from IT. I'm working with someone from logistics. It's working in a team to make projects happen over a series of times. So for study habits, obviously in college you need to have great study habits. So we have a great program here that teaches you how to study. The Student Success Center is a great resource that teaches students how to study, and I actually use that resource coming into school as a freshman. It taught me how to study and how to be more proactive in my studying and in my note taking. So, and we also have a program called STEP, which we'll talk about later, that shows students how to be interactive and how to study before getting to even before getting to colleges, like a pre-run. So, like for example, I had a roommate that was in STEP, and while I was studying for 50 hours, like trying to figure out what I need to study, just reviewing everything, my friend was just said, "Oh, you just need to review this, and this. That's what the only important things." So study habits is huge. It teaches you it shows you great time management skills as well. So to be an engineer, you need an interest in math and science. I wouldn't say like more one or the other, just a general interest to kind of get your mind going in that direction. And also challenging high school background. You would We like to see the greatest classes that you can take at your specific school. AP, IB, CLP, honors classes, and lots of extracurricular activities.
So just looking generally at the incoming class of 2019, we have a 4.2 out of 5.0 for GPA. For the SAT math, there's a 707, and for reading, there's a 655. There is no information on the ACT because Virginia Tech doesn't specifically support it and give information about it. However, you can submit the ACT instead of the SAT. Around 20.7% are female identifying students, and 29.4% are underrepresented minority students in the College of Engineering.
So while I talk, please take this time to kind of scan that barcode there with your phones. So common entry point of classes, if you scan the barcode, you can see all the common entry point of classes for students. So you can do either of these two things. You can look up online VT Transfer Guide, or go to this website here, and you can see the Virginia Tech Transfer Guide to transfer your credits from AP and dual enrollment credits. I personally use the Transfer Guide all the time. Excuse me, and it's very helpful aspect that Virginia Tech offers. So Pathways is a general education curriculum program. So kind of like your liberal arts, your history, your art, your science classes, your music classes. We even have a chorus You can join chorus, and that would count as credit, or band, and that would also count as credit. Because here at Virginia Tech, we love well-rounded students. It's not just math, it's not just science, it's not just engineering all the time. You know, we here at Virginia Tech love well-rounded students, and that's what companies look for, is not just the student who knows his stuff. It's the student who knows their stuff and more. And that's what we teach you here at Virginia Tech. So here, the selected major as a freshman, 3.0 guarantees your first choice major when you apply, except for biomedical engineering. So that, except for that one, does not guarantee your first choice major. But every other majors, if you get a 3.0 and you put, for example, chemical engineering as your 3.0 major, 3.0 first choice, then you'll get chemical engineering. Same thing with mechanical, ocean, environmental, any other major.
So to start off, once you're accepted and admitted into Virginia Tech's College of Engineering, your first required course that you need to take would be Foundations of Engineering. Foundations of Engineering is a 2-semester broken up course where it teaches you design and teamwork, disciplines, algorithms, graphing, problem solving, and the future of engineering. So in the first semester of your class, you'll learn about coding, how to code different problems, how to sketch in CAD and also paper pencil. But most importantly, you'll be introduced to all the different engineering degrees that you can get at Virginia Tech. So when, for example, I came in, I thought I was going to be a computer science major, but after having taken the Foundations of Engineering course, I realized that my interests and passion lie more within industrial and systems engineering. So that class really helped me define what I was going to do for the next 3 to 4 years of my college career. The second half of the year is the second semester, where you are put in a design team with other students, and you're tasked with one of a few different projects. Now, when Sue and I were freshmen, these projects were either a wind turbine or a drone. So if you had the wind turbine project, you would be in charge of building a wind turbine from scratch and then coding a code that would output how much power it was outputting, and the wind turbine would be able to spin and power a small device. If you were on the drone side, you would be in charge of building and operating a drone, testing for aerodynamic principles, and also testing at Virginia Tech's drone cage specifically. So both teams, you would be in for a whole semester, and through that you would learn team building exercises, you would understand the importance of cooperation, and at the very end of the year you will give a big presentation to the rest of your class on your project and what you designed. So overall, Foundations of Engineering is entitled that because it really is the foundation, the groundwork for every other engineering major that you'll end up pursuing at Virginia Tech.
So here we have different statistics for different engineering programs within the College of Engineering. So here you can see engineering education has the greatest number of students because it is the major that all students get into. All engineering students automatically go into their freshman year. And then after your freshman year, it kind of wavers out between the different majors. So aerospace, biological systems, biomedical, chemical, etc. The second largest is mechanical engineering, and then that is followed by computer science. So these are just some numbers that you guys can look at.
So now we'll talk about all the different engineering majors that we offer at Virginia Tech, starting with electrical engineering. So if we're looking at engineering on a digital spectrum, we have computer science, computer engineering, and electrical engineering. Electrical engineering is on the far left-hand side. It's very hardware-based. Electrical engineers work on a variety of projects such as computers, robots, cell phones, cards, radars, navigation systems, wiring and lighting. It's a lot of lab work and it's very hands-on. So you can expect that a lot of your classes will actually be in the lab, and they'll be very project-based. So you'll be working with a lot of other students to make things work. An electrical engineer is someone who designs and develops new electrical systems to solve problems and tests equipment. So that's what you can expect if you decide to go into electrical engineering. Some job types include power and energy, microelectronics, communications. However, we see that electrical engineering in general is such a versatile major that you can really apply it to any field that you decide to go into.
So here we have computer science, which is actually my minor as well. So yay! So in computer science, you're able to design and develop software from operating systems and applications. So speaking from someone who has done some classes, so first you start off learning Java, and then you kind of go into C++, and then the mathematics behind computer science itself. So I think it's more theory based than application based in your first couple classes, and then as you get on, it's more application based. So possible areas of study are human-computer interaction, knowledge and information data, made of creative computing, scientific computing, systems, and networking. So if you look on the top left corner, over there you can see the picture of the cube, and in that picture of the cube, so we're going to press play, and in that picture of the cube is kind of like the Oculus Rift goggles. A person is going through a computer simulation, and as he moves, his head moves as well. And then if you see here, he's going to end up crossing the street, and then he's going to get hit by a car eventually. And that kind of shows you what you can do with your computer science degree. So computer science has a possible 5-year BS MS track where you can get your bachelor's, and your master's degree at the same time. Every engineering major, almost every engineering major gives this opportunity for students except for chemical engineers, because we have a very heavy course load, and we actually have a program called UO Lab, which I will talk about later on in the program. Some job types, again, are software and design development, network and computer security, mobile applications, and game design and development.
So, following the recent analogy of these three majors being on a spectrum, if we looked at electrical engineering being completely hardware and computer science being completely software, computer engineering would be a combination of the two, combining the coding of computer science and the electric circuitry of electrical engineering. Now, computer engineers are engineers that develop ways to make computers faster, smaller, and more capable. They take the hardware and make it communicate with the software. So, like I said before, that immersion between the two majors. Some areas of specialization include networking, hardware, computer systems, cybersecurity. There are a lot of different places that not just computer engineering, but any of the engineering majors on that spectrum can fall into. And they're very sought after currently because technology is becoming even more advanced as we speak, and more computer engineers are using their majors for the industry. So that's computer engineering. Now, biological systems engineering is the next engineering that we'll talk about. This one combines biology, chemistry, and engineering to solve problems associated with environmental protection, conservation of natural resources, the protection of renewable resources. So it basically takes the College of Natural Resources and the Environment and meshes it with the College of Engineering. It focuses on two main tracks. There's the biomed track and the green track. So if you take the biomed track, you can expect composite materials and biomaterials, while if you take the green track, you can expect sustainable land development, water resource management, and all of that stuff. Now, if you take the biomed track, most of the time, engineers that take the biomed will automatically or will usually be pre-med, pre-vet, or pre-dental, but that's not required. If this is something that you're interested in, you can still major in it. And as you can see, the job types refer a lot more to like the biotechnology of the industry. So there are a lot of different applications within biology, chemistry, and engineering that are applicable to this major. There's also a biomed minor. This is more related to the internal forces of the body. So if you're not interested in actually going into biological systems engineering, but you want to get a biomed minor, you still can, but it won't be as intense as if you actually went into the engineering major.
Chemical engineering, yay! So I love chemical engineering. If you can't tell, I'm a total chemie nerd. Anyway, chemical engineering. So what chemical engineering is, you take the applications of chemistry, mathematics, physics, and biochemistry, and you kind of mesh them into one. So what we do is that we find solutions, fuels, and energy of chemical products, environmental quality, sustainability, food, health, and pharmaceuticals. So what does that actually mean? So what that means is that we are the ones. If you think of your clothing, think of your processed food, your donuts, think of the juice that you drink. Ocean Spray's cranberries is like a huge producer for us. If you think of the toys, so if you had toys growing up, plastic toys, chemical engineers are in that process of making all that. And we might be not called chemical engineers in the real work life. We might be called process engineers. We might be called production engineers, capital engineers. Different types of words mean the same thing, meaning chemical engineers. We can also go into pharmaceuticals. So people that make your medicine, people that kind of work in the CDC, those things are chemical engineers as well. So it's a very broad spectrum that you can apply to anywhere as well. Anywhere. So in the chemical engineering program, like I was saying before, we have a special program in the summer. It's called UO Lab, or UNO Operations Lab, where you can go in Denmark or Germany and get some lab experience over the summer while studying abroad. I plan on doing it next year if everything works out, and I am super excited to do it. It is a great experience, and I haven't heard students ever talk ill about it. So some job types that you can have for chemie is fuels, chemicals, ceramics, paper, pharmaceuticals, consumer products, consulting, etc. So basically anything that you want to do. If you want to do hands-on work, there's work for chemical engineers with that. That's kind of what I do. Or if you want to do more of consulting and giving advice, chemical engineers do that as well. So anywhere that you want to apply your niche, chemical engineering is probably like the major for you. Cool. So we just talked about chemical engineering, and I like to say chemical engineering is the broad umbrella. And then underneath chemical engineering, we have material sciences engineering, which is a very specified. So let's say you don't want to do all this, and you don't want to be the broad. You want to learn something about specific, and you want to be the expert in that specific field. Then maybe material science and engineering is right for you. You can do possible areas of study in metals, polymers, ceramics, compositions, nuclear materials, electronic materials, and biomaterials. And Virginia Tech actually allows you to say, I have a material science and engineering major with a specification in, so that people know, hey, this person knows what they're talking about, which is something really great that Virginia Tech does. So we have also, so if you look in the top right corner, you can see our ceramics lab, where we actually have a lab built for material science and engineering students, and it's on campus. We also have a football lab where we test our helmets so that we can have the safest and best quality material for our football players. Some job types are design, aerospace, automotive, biomaterials, metallurgical materials, semiconductors, defense. So again, this is a major where you can apply your work to various areas of study.
So now we're going to talk about mining and minerals engineering. So mining and minerals engineering is a very interesting major because it is one of 12 universities that is across the United States that is accredited as a mining and minerals department. And mining and minerals engineering is known for saying if you can't grow it or make it in a lab, it must be mined. So the unique thing about mining and minerals engineering is that there is 100% job placement. So coming out of graduation, you are guaranteed a job. Every other class has been since. The emphasis lies within exploration, evaluation, development, extraction, mineral processing, and reclamation. Now, that being said, when we think of mining and minerals, you might think of being in a cave, physically mining the materials out. But in reality, mining and minerals engineering focuses more on how minerals interact with technology. So if you look at your phone has hundreds of minerals that make it up. And it was the job of a mining and minerals engineer to decide what minerals would interact well with the electric currents that were flowing through your phone, extracting them, and then using them at correct proportions and manufacturing them. So mining and minerals engineering is actually a lot more specific, and interesting than one might initially think. And it's definitely a smaller major within the College of Engineering, but it is very important, and it has 100% job placement.
So now we have civil engineering. So civil engineering, you can design, build, and maintain infrastructure. So if you spend your time, for example, drawing bridges, drawing towers, thinking about those things, so the questions that you may ask yourself is, how can I make this possible? How can I create this idea and turn it into reality? Those are some questions that civil engineers ask themselves. So areas of emphasis are construction, land development, transportation, environmental, water resources, geotechnical, and just structures in general. Right now, my best friend is on co-op, and she is helping and assist on building a bridge. I'm not in Pennsylvania, so she's based in Pennsylvania right now. Some job types include structural engineer, environmental engineer, construction manager, water resources engineer, transportation engineer, geotechnical engineer. And so, for example, if you look in the bottom right-hand corner, that Google car, so Virginia Tech actually our civil engineers at Virginia Tech actually work with Google, and we have a Google road right by Virginia Tech. And what they do is Google brings their cars and the cars that they make, and their self-driving cars, and they test it on that Google road. So that's just kind of like one way that companies come to Virginia Tech and partner with us because they want our engineers, because they understand the quality of engineer that we produce.
Awesome. So now we're going to talk about construction engineering and management. So construction engineering and management is definitely the integration of civil and environmental engineering, building construction, and business. So when you get that degree, you're going to be a construction manager. You're going to plan, direct, and coordinate construction projects. And you are going to be the engineering with construction and business management. So it's definitely a combination of civil and business. Some job types include project engineers, field engineers, assistant project managers, and so on. One of the interesting things about construction engineering and management is that it has 100% job placement with usually 5 or more offers for each student coming out of Virginia Tech. There aren't very many construction engineering and management majors within the United States, so these are very heavily sought after students. They also have the unique, distinguished pleasure of wearing hard hats at graduation. So if you ever see Virginia Tech students graduating and you see a group of students that are wearing hard hats, that's because they are construction engineering and management majors, and that's how they send off their graduation.
Yeah, when you see them, they're super cute. So now moving on to aerospace and ocean engineering. First, I would like to say that aerospace engineering and ocean engineering are two separate majors. So you can major in one or the other, but they're very similar. So we put them together in one, and it's very easy to double major in them as well. So aerospace and ocean engineering have to do with aerodynamics, hydrodynamics, structures, propulsion, flight of machines, and design, optimization, and flight and controls. So what does that mean? So basically, our aerospace and ocean engineers either work with naval or they work with kind of NASA. And if that's something that you're interested in, maybe this is the major for you. So what we have here, so if you look in the bottom left-hand corner, we have here a meteorologist, and he is actually in one of Virginia Tech's wind tunnels. So let me tell you guys the story of the wind tunnel. So when NASA built this wind tunnel, they decided they wanted to build a better one. So NASA gave their wind tunnel to Virginia Tech. So when NASA tried to build a newer wind tunnel, they realized they couldn't make the wind tunnel as better as the original. So they asked for the wind tunnel back, and we simply said no. So we now have a better wind tunnel than NASA. And the meteorologist in there is actually trying to withstand to see how far his body can take him to withstand a hurricane. So right now, I think he gets up to category 5 without stopping. Yeah, he stops at category 5 because it was a little bit too much. So again, like I said, you can double major with aerospace or ocean engineering. And then some job types are structural analysis, design engineering, controls engineering, naval architecture, and underwater vehicle development. And let's say that we also have different minors, which we'll go over later on. that have to do with aerospace and ocean engineering, and one of them is naval engineering. So let's say you don't want to really major in any of these two, but you like it a lot, you could also happen to minor in it as well.
So now we're going to talk about mechanical engineering. Mechanical engineering, as you probably saw in the statistics, is the most popular engineering major at Virginia Tech, and that's mostly because we consider it the Swiss Army knife of majors of engineering. So anything that you're interested in, mechanical engineering usually covers in one of its classes or technical electives, which is a class that you can take for your major. As you can see, it applies principles such as motion, energy, heat, force, etc., to design, construct, and operate machines and devices. Now, I'm not going to go through and read all the topic areas, but all of these topic areas have different classes associated with them. So if any of these seem interesting to you, you have the option of taking that class to further your mechanical engineering degree. Now, this is also a good time to mention research. I specifically did research last semester with mechanical engineering, a mechanical engineering professor. And some people raise some eyebrows about that because I'm an industrial and systems engineering, and I was doing research with a mechanical engineering professor. However, it is possible to do transdisciplinary research, so you don't have to be majoring in the thing that you want to research. So specifically what I did in my research was worked on vibrations of a system. So if you're looking at, let's say, a jet engine for a plane, there are multiple different parts that all go into one jet engine. And to test a jet engine, you got to make sure that every single part is working perfectly. And if every single part doesn't work perfectly and one part is out of place, the whole jet engine is going to fail and you're going to lose millions of dollars. So the research that I did with my professor involved vibrating machines and certain parts at certain frequencies to see if their modal shapes could fit within the whole system, to make sure that at certain vibrations they could withstand it, so that they wouldn't break down and lose the business money. Now, that ended up being a research project that I was interested in, and it brought in millions of dollars from the person I was doing research under, so it was very well funded. You can find research in any topic that you want. As long as you have a teacher that's doing research in your field, you can ask them, and usually they will either ask you to apply or take you on as an undergraduate researcher, and you have that opportunity. So that was something that was very unique to my Virginia Tech experience, and something that taught me a lot more about the field outside of my classes of engineering, and got me familiar with mechanical engineering as well.
So here we have biomedical engineering, which is our newest major at Virginia Tech. So if you love the lab, and you want to kind of have that science, chemistry background, but still want to work in a lab as full time, biomedical engineering might be the right major for you. So biomedical engineering produces interdisciplinary training of engineers who can solve problems associated with complex biological systems by applying the principles of biology, chemistry, medicine, and physics and engineering. So if some of your areas are biomechanics, cardiovascular engineering, nanomedicine, and nanoengineering, and I think it's a good stopping point for me to say so my research was in cardiovascular and biology when I did research here at Virginia Tech. So I also researched out of my major, and actually out of my college as well. So my research was actually having to do with snakes and their biological structure within the animal. So you can also do research not just within your major and within your college. You can do research out of your college as well. So some sample jobs you can have. You can work with medical devices, tissue engineering, cancer research, and automotive and military safety. And if you're interested in any of those majors, if you're interested in this major and in research, the biomedical engineering department has some fantastic professors that I know really well and that would love to talk to you about their research.
And now finally we have industrial and systems engineering. Now this one is very important to me because it is my major. It is considered the human engineering It is a mixture of mechanical engineering and business, and something that I found personally passionate about because it involves being very personable and interactions, both business and engineering wise. Industrial and systems engineers analyze, design, implement, and improve integrated work systems. What that means is we make systems more efficient. So we cut down on time, cut down on price, increase design, and increase the satisfaction level within the user. So as you can see, some areas of emphasis include human factors and ergonomics, manufacturing systems, management systems, and operations research. Those are all classes that you'll take, and there are subclasses under each of those areas of emphasis that you can take for industrial and systems engineering. One of my personal favorites was human factors and ergonomics, because it really is a combination of psychology, so how a product interacts with the user psychologically, the design of a product, and the engineering of the product. So it combines all three of those to see how humans or users interact with door handles or seats or something as large as applications or websites, to make things more efficient and more satisfactory for the user. Job types include healthcare, transportation, the list goes on and on. The special thing about industrial and systems engineering is that it's a very malleable major. I know personal friends of mine who have gone off to work for Disney, Google, Microsoft, like the very technical side of engineering, but have also gone on to work for Wells Fargo, Deloitte, Capital One, very business venture, like capitalist companies. So the possibilities for industrial and systems engineering are quite literally endless, and they hire from all over the place. So it's an amazing major, personally.
Okay. So if you go on the Explore Engineering at Virginia Tech website, you will be able to see all of these majors laid out for you, as well as your interests and your skills, your interests, skills, and questions about like learn more about this major. So we are going like you can learn more about this major. So if you can go to the website, you can type into Google Explore Engineering at Virginia Tech. You can go and see all these majors and actually see what you want to do. I know personally during my freshman year, I looked at this and I kind of really dove into this website to see what did I like the best.
So opportunities available outside of just your major. So as Sue and I both hinted at, we're both majoring or minoring in something outside of the standard engineering major. So engineering minors include computer science, cybersecurity, green engineering, the list goes on. You can also get a double major within engineering, and that's pretty rare, and usually there needs to be a good amount of overlap. So computer and electrical engineering is a very common one, but outside of that, it's fairly difficult. If you're looking to get a double major outside of the College of Engineering, it's a little bit easier. So I can speak to this personally. I double majored in Spanish. So the reason I was able to double major in Spanish is because I had credit coming in from AP classes, and I knew I wanted to involve myself with Spanish after my freshman year. So I talked to my advisor early, and I added all of those classes. I fit them into my schedule, and I was able to double major. If you're interested in double majoring or minoring in something, I would do research now or when you get to Virginia Tech, see what's introduced to you, and then talk to your advisor about what your interests are and how those align with different majors or minors. So that's double majoring and minoring. Study abroad is also something that is widely used and offered to any Virginia Tech student. Specifically for engineering students in their sophomore year, there's the RSAP, or the Rising sophomore abroad program. This is where students during the summer between their freshman and sophomore year will go to 3 or 4 different countries within South America or Europe and learn about how engineering interacts with their country in comparison to the United States. So it is a very good program to become more globalized and become a more global citizen. However, those aren't the only opportunities available for engineering and non-engineering students to study abroad. I personally just got back from a study abroad in Switzerland with the Honors College. It's called the Presidential Global Scholars Program, and that program allowed me to do research at a distinguished university in the UK on whatever topic I wanted, so it didn't have to be on engineering, and it was specifically for honor students. So if you're interested in studying abroad in general, the Global Education Office is an office that Virginia Tech offers that you can go to, look on their website, and see what other programs they have for your major specifically. And they're available for walk-in appointments. So if you are interested in going abroad but don't know how, they'll sit down with you and plan it out. I know a lot of engineers that have gone abroad, so it's definitely possible. Now, undergraduate research, we already kind of mentioned. If you're interested in doing transdisciplinary or like a cross-section of your major with a different major, it's definitely possible. All you have to do is find a professor that's doing research in the subject that you're interested in, reach out to them. Usually there'll be an application process, and if there is or if there isn't and you get accepted, you can usually add undergraduate research as a class to your credits. So usually undergraduate research can be from 1 to 3 credits, and you will take it as a class, go into the lab and do that research for a grade. And that is something that's available to not just engineering students, but any student at Virginia Tech at any major. And Virginia Tech professors, from what I found, are very receptive to doing research with you as long as you ask and reach out. Lastly, engineering professional societies and organizations. So we have a lot of engineering professional societies, including a professional fraternity and sorority. So AOE is a all-girls, females sorority, specifically for engineering students. And we also have honor societies that are available once you become have a certain GPA or a certain rank in your class for each of the majors in engineering. So those are some of the professional societies and organizations that we have. We also have OSHO. OSHO is a show that is put on every year in the fall, where specifically engineering organizations will come and show you what they're doing, what they're involved with, and we'll get into more what those projects are later. But OSHO is a time for you as an engineering student to figure out what you're interested in, what passions line up with which clubs, and you're able to join clubs as soon as the 2nd or 3rd week of school. So I definitely don't recommend signing up for every single one. Make sure to pace yourself. Make sure to take time for yourself and study. Definitely transitioning from high school to college is a difficult one. But OSHO is there to help you feel like you're involved with the engineering department at Virginia Tech.
Okay, so here's internships and co-ops. So I actually co-opted. Co-op is a short term we use for a cooperative education program. And what that means is that, so an internship, when you think of internship, it's more of during the summer, a short term, maybe 6 weeks, maybe 12 weeks. Co-op or cooperative education program is during the school year or during the summer, and that is more of geared towards, that's more of like months. So I'm talking 6 months or a year where you go on co-op. And here we have some places that our students co-op, specifically our Dean's Team members. So we have Bank of America, Rio Tinto, ExxonMobil, Dow, Marathon, Altria. We have all these companies all over the United States. So it's not just companies on the East Coast that come see us, it's companies from all over, and they send their students all over the world. So if you have any questions on internships and co-ops, I'm more than happy to answer them as well.
So now support outside of class. Virginia Tech Engineering knows that transitioning from high school to college, like I said, can be difficult, and there's definitely a lot more coursework and responsibilities to handle. So we have a lot of stuff set up to help you with that. So first of all, we have career fairs. Now, there is a big career fair in the fall and a smaller one in the spring called Cameo, but we'll focus more on the career fair in the fall. This career fair involves more than 300 companies that come to Virginia Tech looking for Virginia Tech engineering students. So there are a lot of companies there. It can be overwhelming at times, but it just goes to show how sought after Virginia Tech engineering students are for internships and how competitive we are for those. Now, if you look at the picture on the top left, you'll see that there's someone with a maroon polo on. That shows that they're actually an alumni of Virginia Tech. We see that a lot of alumni from Virginia Tech end up working for these very prestigious companies like GE, like Disney, like NASA, and will come back to recruit other Virginia Tech students. So that is a very unique part of the career fair and something that Virginia Tech students have a little bit of a leg up on when applying to different jobs. Now, going down and looking at STEP is a summer transition engineering program. It is during the summer between your senior year of high school and your freshman year of college, and it gives students the opportunity to transition into freshman year a little bit easier. So like I said, the transition can sometimes be a little abrupt. So STEP is there as the bridge between the two. It allows you to take classes early. So take your Foundations of Engineering class, take your calculus and your chemistry class, different classes that you would usually take in your fall semester, you can then take in the summer. And it also allows you to form connections and relationships with professors really early on so that when you go into Virginia Tech, you already not only have a set group of friends and a feel for how college is going to work, but you have professors that you can reach out to and maybe do research with later on. So that's a very awesome part of STEP. It also helps with AP transfer credit. So if you're worrying about that at all, STEP will help you with all of that. Seed Peer Mentoring. So Seed Peer Mentoring is a first-year program for Virginia Tech engineering students. It is not required, but if you do sign up to it, it is an 8 to 10 week program where a sophomore, junior, or senior in the engineering department will be there to mentor and guide you. They help you with your resume. They help you with interviews. They prepare you for going into different classes, signing up for classes, and they're just really there to help you transition. I personally did this my freshman year, and I found that it was very helpful to not just get my feet on the ground, sign up for classes, make sure I'm keeping up with all the information that engineering had. But it also gave me a little group of friends that met every week that we could talk about what we were going through and see what we could do to help each other. So the C Peer Mentoring Program is a very good way to form those bonds and connections, and it's available to all Virginia Tech engineering students. Now I'm going to pass this over to Sue for Hypatia and Galileo because she actually was involved in it. So Sue, take it away.
Okay. So I was in Hypatia and Galileo and actually got scholarship money to be a part of Hypatia and Galileo, which was really cool. So my scholarship was in Hypatia and Galileo my freshman year. So what Hypatia and Galileo is an engineering living learning community for students. So all of the engineering students that are in Hypatia and Galileo live under one roof, so they can like help each other with homework, with studies, stuff like that. So, for example, I would always go and just be like, yell down the hall, be like, "Is anyone working on physics?" And then like my friends or anyone would like pop up and be like, "Yeah, I'm on question 3," and I'll be like, "Okay, cool, catch me up," and then we'll do it. So it's a great way to foster teamwork, communication, and collaboration within an engineering community. Also, Hypatia and Galileo, when you're in the program, you have to take a course. So it's a Hypatia or Galileo course. It's a 3-credit course that's kind of like helps you also bump up your GPA, but like also helps you kind of prepare yourself for those career fairs because Hypatia and Galileo course teaches you how to dress properly for a career fair, teaches you how to write a resume, teaches you how to speak properly. We practice speaking to company representatives, such as practicing an elevator pitch, which is kind of cool. And I never knew what an elevator pitch was before getting into my Hypatia and Galileo class, so I didn't go unprepared. Hypatia and Galileo also allowed students to kind of get exposed to research. So many freshmen don't know to go out and talk to professors, either because they're too shy or because they don't know. So what Hypatia and Galileo does is they bring the professors to us, and professors give us presentations, which is how I got my first research project with Dr. Jake Soha in the snake lab, in the flying snakes lab. So Hypatia and Galileo, in their building in Lee Hall, we also have a design studio in our bottom floor, and where upperclassmen can teach us how to CAD, how to do soldering, how to code. And if you're not in Hypatia and Galileo, don't worry. There's also another design studio for all engineers, and all engineering freshmen only, called the Frith Lab. But I always loved going to our Studio One studio because it was always less crowded, and I could always find a good place to study. So I think that, personally, and being through Hypatia and Galileo and having best friends come out of it, because I had my best friends forever, and my roommate was my roommate then, is also still my roommate now. We were in Hypatia and Galileo together. It's a great community to kind of get your feet wet, learn the engineering students, and know different engineering students, so you can have a better foothold in your classes as well. So hands-on, minds-on. So we do different clubs here on campus, such as Astrobotics, Baja, SAE, BioactivT, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but there's some pictures I do want to point out. So on the bottom left-hand corner, you can see a picture with piano keys and students working on it. Those are civil engineers working on concrete canoe. So what they do is they make a canoe out of concrete, and they make it so with specifications in order for it to float. So, and they get, at the end of the semester, they get into this canoe made of concrete that they made, and they kind of go, they go and they race with it with other schools. So this is really cool because this is in the Ware Lab, and all these programs are in the Ware Lab, and you can go and see the Ware Lab, and students are more than willing. They are so excited to show you their projects that they're working on. I go to the Ware Lab because my best friend is in concrete canoe, and I always work with their projects. So the Ware Lab is a great place to kind of go, and if you're ever visiting Virginia Tech, I highly suggest you go. Another great reason to get involved with these specific clubs is because companies actually fund our clubs. So, for example, with Formula SAE, companies, you can see companies on the side like Google or Ford. They fund our clubs and give us money so that we test their materials. And because we test their materials and we use their materials, we have representatives coming to our school all the time, kind of checking in and emailing us throughout the year. And that's another way you can get your foot in the door with companies and kind of learn more about different companies. Because by the end of your 4 years, students usually students can go and work for these companies because you already know them. So I highly suggest looking into these different clubs.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about Virginia Tech Engineering's rankings. So if you've probably heard, Virginia Tech has been ranked number 13 for best undergraduate programs among accredited engineering schools nationwide. So we're definitely one of the best engineering programs on the East Coast and the best engineering program in Virginia. We also ranked number 31 for best graduate program among accredited engineering schools, and those are both by U.S. News and World Report. If you're looking for any other statistics, a lot of other statistics from a lot of other websites will just confirm what you're reading there, but these are the most prominent. Now, we are also ranked number 7 for producers of engineers with bachelor's degrees, and number 8 for producers of women engineers with bachelor's degrees. And these are just some of many rankings that Virginia Tech Engineering has.
So outcomes, freshmen who continued to a second year in engineering lasted 5 years, averaged about 90%. And then after graduation, for the class of 2019, 74% were employed and 13% plan to attend graduate school or have accepted admission to a graduate graduate school. And the median starting salary is $70,000 for the class of 2019.
So now we're going to talk about scholarships. Scholarships for freshmen are vast. There's the Davenport Leadership, Pratt Engineering, and there's financial aid. These are all available for freshmen specifically. And then for upperclassmen, there's the College of Engineering funds and departmental scholarships. Departmental scholarships just means once you're an upperclassman, you will have already defined what your major is. So you'll have access to your college and your major specific scholarships. So for me, it would be industrial and systems. For Sue, it would be chemical engineering, and respective majors will have scholarships designated for those students. So scholarship was a big deal specifically when I was considering Virginia Tech, and I can speak specifically to engineering scholarships as I experienced. I received a full ride for tuition to come here. So if you apply, I wouldn't rule yourself out right away. And Virginia Tech has around, as they stated in news articles, around $1.9 million was given last year alone in scholarship money. So there's definitely funding, and if you can apply and receive it, it definitely helps. So that is scholarship.
So going into computer requirements, so a laptop is required for your classes, but 2-in-1 laptops are really not required, but I would check the specifications on your website for your college, specifically College of Engineering. Please don't buy your laptops before until the summer before you're going into your year, because things can change. Although I have a 2-in-1 laptop, and I will say the 2-in-1 laptop is nice because it's digital ink and taking notes, drawing diagrams, writing equations, and then kind of like submitting your homework straight to PDF. However, you do not need a 2-in-1 laptop to be successful in the engineering program. Like, I know plenty of people who have Macs or have different laptops and don't have a 2-in-1 computer, and they do perfectly fine. So you don't need a 2-in-1 computer, and if you have a laptop and you want to keep it, it's probably good. Just make sure it has specific requirements that Virginia Tech details on their website.
Yes, just to butt in real quick, I am one of those students that has a Mac instead of a 2-in-1 tablet. And I can say that I got through most of the engineering classes completely fine. You just need to make sure, like Sue said, that the programs that they need you to run can be run on those computers, that the RAM is up to date and has enough storage. There's a lot of different things that you need to make sure, like the processing unit, all of the things that they require for first year specifications should meet that requirement for your computer. But it is possible to do it with a MacBook or a 2-in-1, like Sue said. Something that helped me was just looking at what other students were using from past classes, asking them what worked the best, and then making that decision for myself. So just to echo what Sue said and confirm that you can do either or and still get through the engineering department. And then why did I come to the College of Engineering? So my story started when I was 4 years old. When I was 4, my father, who is an alumni of the school, took me to my first Virginia Tech football game. I did not know what Virginia Tech was, didn't know really what football was or what a Hokie Bird was, but I realized that I wanted to be here. So I ended up attending a junior open house for engineering students that were interested. I sat through that presentation, and by the end of this type of presentation, I fell in love with what Virginia Tech had to offer as far as resources. I talked to some of the students within the majors that I was interested in, such as computer science, mechanical engineering, and industrial engineering, and I realized that Virginia Tech was and had the ability to be a home for me, not just within my major, but also through the diversity of minority students. And that was something that was really important to me. So through both of those factors and also the scholarship money that I received, I decided on Virginia Tech, and I could not be happier with what Virginia Tech Engineering has given me as far as opportunities, research, money, and experience. So I definitely believe I made the right decision.
So I did not come from an alumni family. I'm actually a first generation student, college student. My parents didn't go to college. So my experience was a little bit different. I came to Virginia Tech College of Engineering because of their Living Learning Community program. So I was somewhat, because I'm a first generation student, my parents didn't know what to expect to go to college. I didn't know what to expect. Not many people in my family have gone to college. So it was kind of a first for everybody. So the living learning communities were kind of the big point for me because I foster well in a community, and I also I love the preparation and the resources that Hypatia Galileo, or Galpatia as they like to call it, gives you, specifically the company outreach, the resume reviews, the elevator pitches. I took advantage of all those resources, and I also love that the chemical engineering program, because I knew I wanted to be a chemie. I knew that I love that the chemical engineering program had a specific study abroad opportunity, because I am opportunity where I could go to Denmark and research, which I really wanted to do. I've always wanted to study abroad. So that was another point for me, which is why I came to Virginia Tech College of Engineering. I would say that my experience at the College of Engineering has been excellent. I think that Hypatia has given me such a great foundation of friends and a support group for my engineering classes. If things get too hard, or things get, or if I slack off a little bit, my friends kind of whip me into shape and they're like, come on, Swinda, give a test. They gave me such a great foundation for classes and for friends. And I would never change, I would change anything for the world. So, yeah.
Yes, so that does it for our presentation. We left our emails in the chat, so if you have any questions that you don't feel comfortable answering or asking in the Q&A, but want to ask us individually, Sue and I put our emails there, so we are free to answer. I'm here just studying for the GRE, so I have all of the time to answer those emails if you need them. So other than that, we're going to start answering questions. So like we said, if you have any, leave them in the Q&A box, and we will get to them one by one. So Sue, I can take the honors college first.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are the requirements for the honors college? So being a part of the honors college, first you have to get in. So when you apply as a high school student, all students are considered for the honors college. If you are accepted, you will then be put in the honors college on not like a probation period, basically, where you have to maintain above a 3.6 for the year that you're in it. And then after your 3.6 year, you can fall below a 3.6, but not below a 3.3. So that is the requirements GPA-wise. As far as getting your honors diploma goes, it's a little bit different. You have to take certain classes for your honors degree. So how I specifically did it was I took honors courses in doing research in mechanical engineering, like I mentioned, but also research in genealogy with the First Lady of Virginia Tech. So the Honors College provides a lot of opportunities for you to get honors credit. Like I mentioned, my study abroad, that provided me with a good amount of credits for my honors degree. So those are some of the main requirements for the Honors College. The perks of being in the Honors College include being able to choose your classes first. So when you go to select your classes, you'll have first selection of them, which is really, really helpful. I can personally say, specifically when you're looking at a lot of gen ed classes. It also gives you more availability towards classes that might not be offered to non-honor students. So I personally took a class that only had 8 people in it, where it usually should have 40 or 50. So it specifies the amount of people and kind of individualizes your experience with the professor. It opens you up to scholarships that are not available to non-honor students, which is awesome. And it also at the end of your honors college degree, you'll get a medal and it'll say it on your diploma. So those are most of the big things that the honors college offers. If you're interested in other things that I didn't answer or what the competitivity or whatever it is, I put my email in, so you can for sure email me and I'll be sure to email you back. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay. I'll go next. Answer live. Okay. As a freshman, do you have to specifically apply for these scholarships? So yes, so there's a general application that freshmen go through, and all engineering students kind of go through, and you have to answer questions on this application. If you do the general application, it takes 2 seconds. It's really quick. And then kind of once you go more in depth in the application, there are a bunch of little scholarships that Virginia Tech offers, literally dozens and dozens of scholarships that Virginia Tech offers on this application that you can apply to. And you click on the link and you can apply and write your essays and such. But yes, as a freshman, you do have to specifically apply for these scholarships.
Yeah. I can answer this one really quickly. So is it optional to present our scores for SAT or ACT? Great question. Specifically because of COVID and what's going on with that, they are waiving the SAT ACT requirement for this application cycle. So it is depending on when you are applying to Virginia Tech, that might be waived for you. But for the most part, and usually when we're looking at the application, you are required to submit one or the other. These are just very unprecedented times, as the cliche goes. So we're not 100% sure how that's going to look in the future, but as of this coming application cycle, they're waiving it.
All right, I got the next one. So are there any prereq classes for engineering majors, any specific majors? So when you come into the College of Engineering, you need to make sure you take all of your classes, such as your math, your science. You need to take 2 calc, 2 chem, 2 physics, and then 2 foundations of engineering. Foundations engineering is within the College of Engineering, and it is required. Once you finish your freshman year, you apply through our system called Hokie Spa, and then you apply for your major. Once you apply for your major, then you will get into your prereq classes. So usually during your sophomore year, you start off with 1 or 2 classes. I only started off with 1 chemi course, and that is the prereq for every single chemi course that you will ever take. So any prereq classes you need for the engineering majors, you will either take them in AP credit, or you will take them specifically at Virginia Tech. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. And quickly adding on to that, another popular question that we get is, can I start on my in-major classes my freshman year, and can I graduate in 3 years? And the answer to that, to kind of build off of what Sue is saying, is that because there are specific requirements for your specific major. So for me, introduction to ISE was the required class, and that was the prereq for every other class. It's not possible to take that class until you've taken a certain amount of credits and a certain amount of classes. So that being said, you can start on gen ed classes like your maths, like your sciences, like Sue was saying. But as far as starting right into your major your freshman year, Virginia Tech purposefully gives you a year to think about it before putting you in, so that people like me who thought they were going to be computer science and had credit for computer science going in don't make that decision right away and take some time to think about it. So that's just a little quick add-on. Okay, so do most of the majors require CAD? I just like CAD.
I just like CAD too.
So it's definitely something that you're going to see a lot in your freshman year. So it's something that you really can't avoid per se. I apologize that you just like it. However, it is definitely something that a lot of employers, I wouldn't say look for, but it's nice to have on your resume to boost your resume. So that requirement, while it might not be your favorite, will definitely help you in the application process. That being said, once you get into your specific major, there's not a lot more CAD. Depending on your major, there are some that go really CAD heavy. Like I know mechanical engineering, there are a few classes that require CAD. But for me in industrial and systems, and I don't know about you, Sue, but we haven't had to interact with CAD after freshman year.
Yeah, I think I took one CAD course and that was it. Like I haven't taken CAD since. I mean, if you want to learn it. There's like options in the Frith lab and of course in the studio, but you don't really take a CAD course. Not for me anyway. Anyway, so thank you for saying that. Great presentation. Thank you very much. As I'm preparing for my application at VT, do you have any advice for me? Kind of the advice that I would say is that I know that what is it? What did we used to call like high school senior sleep or something? I don't know. I forget. But don't keep going in your classes. I would just say keep working hard. Keep working on those extracurriculars. Because it really shows it really shows the progression as you senioritis. Thank you. Yes, I was like sleepy senior. I'm like. I don't know where my head is, but yeah. So it's kind of the progression. You want to make sure you kind of keep going with your classes, and just keep doing what you're doing when working hard.
Also adding off of that, make sure, like Sue mentioned at the very beginning of the presentation, to be challenging yourself and challenging yourself in classes that are important. So like we said, with math and science, if your school offers up to calculus BC or up to multivariable, admission officers like to see that you're challenging yourself with those classes to show them that not only are you interested, but you're taking the steps to pursue it. I personally, and I think Sue can agree, we both challenge ourselves academically in high school. And not only did that make our applications more competitive, but it also helps you for when you actually become a freshman and you can balance the difficulty level of these classes that you're taking. So it's a twofold application process. So definitely that. Thank you for the presentation. Yes, so glad it was very helpful. Okay, so 2 questions. So first one, is it possible to major in computer science and minor in psychology? The answer is yes, definitely. I would say you should talk to your advisor when you become a freshman, and if you are still attached to the computer science degree and still attached to the psychology minor, there's definitely a way to add those classes in. It might. I'm not exactly sure that exact combination, so I would look more into that personally. But for the most part, you can add some classes here or there as free electives towards your minor. So that's the first part of your question. Second part, do I have to declare computer engineering or computer science while applying, or apply to engineering and later have an option to decide which one to select? So in the application process, it allows you to define what engineering you're interested in, but that's not all a reservation to okay, I'm claiming this engineering and I'm putting in a spot, so that spot is saved for me. It's just to gauge interest for incoming freshmen to know how many spots they need to designate for each college, each major. So if you declare computer engineering or computer science, that's great, and if you get in, that's awesome, but for your first year, you're just going to be considered a general engineering student, and not until your second year, where you actually apply and declare, will you be considered a computer engineering or computer science student. I hope that answers your question. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Okay, so what is the average fluency in computer programming for incoming freshmen? I would say that it just depends on your previous experiences. Like I would say, for example, in the for example, in the living learning community, which I was a part of, I would say the people who knew who knew they wanted to be in computer science or computer engineering or any of those type of majors that are coding heavy came in with coding experience. I would say that. And then I would say that people who are like me, who didn't know she wanted to be a computer science minor until like 2 semesters ago, I did not come in with any type of coding whatsoever. But if you don't come in with any type of coding, that's still okay, because we teach you at Virginia Tech in the Foundations of Engineering course about MATLAB, which is kind of like an intro to coding. So I would say that.
Right. So I'll take the second one if you want to take the first one. So I also want to double major in Spanish, but I'm not sure if it makes a difference in an engineering career. Do you still recommend pursuing a Spanish double major? So great question. It definitely gets a lot of looks when I tell people that I'm double majoring in something, specifically in Spanish, which is it's an interesting combination, not impossible, but interesting. I would say, however, that when I've been applying to internships and co-ops and research, applying with not just a major in industrial and systems engineering, but also in Spanish, hints at multiple different things. One being time management, so I'm able to double major in something really intensive like engineering in a different major. Also, critical thinking and analytical thinking. Knowing a different language and being able to major in it is definitely very marketable. But third, and I think most importantly, I've been offered internships and opportunities abroad, specifically in places in South America, in Spain, in Portugal, because of my Spanish double major. It automatically shows them that you're not just proficient, but you're almost or fluent in the language. And that really helps with your application, making it competitive. So I would say if you're on the fence, it doesn't hurt to add the minor or the major. And if you're not interested, dropping it. But it definitely has helped me marketing myself and making myself more competitive, not just for jobs, but for grad school as well.
Yeah, I would like to say that, if you feel like adding a minor, I mean, I think I changed my minor like 3 times. Like, if you feel like adding a minor, I feel like go for it. I mean, you could always drop it. That's like my opinion. I finally found a minor, computer science, that I felt most at home with, so I kept it. But it's always kind of good to keep your options open. Anyway, I'm also interested in the Corps of Cadets. What is the representation in the College of Engineering? So I would say that in my major, there's only one Corps of Cadet that I know of. He's actually one of my really good friends that I know of. But in the College of Engineering in general, the Corps of Cadets, there's not like a lot of Corps Cadets because they have a lot of heavy work in the Corps. But I would say that it's totally possible and people do it all the time. I will say that mostly freshmen in engineering, I have been seeing a lot more Corps of Cadets in the College of Engineering in the freshman and the sophomore class so far at Virginia Tech. And it kind of makes me happy because I love to see the Corps and students get involved in them as well.
Something to keep in mind if you're going into the Corps of Cadets as well is that most Corps of Cadet requirements push your engineering major to the 5th year. So a lot of Corps of Cadet members will be on a 5-year track with their engineering major. 2 very popular majors for Corps Cadet members is National Security and Foreign Affairs within the College of Liberal Arts and any College of Engineering major degree. So either one, you'll be in good company. There'll be a lot of people there that will be majoring in the same thing as you. However, it usually does add a 5th year. So that's just something to keep in mind when comparing the two. But yes. Does anyone else have any other questions before we close out? No. All right.
Thank you all for coming, and I hope that everyone has a great day. And our email's in the chat, so please email us if you have any questions.
Yes, thank you guys so much for attending. Stay safe and have a great rest of your day. Bye, guys.
Bye.